function called on resume. Okay, so on resume will be called. So the way is first it will execute on create and then on start and then on resume. Okay, so on resume also will be called if you are navigating between different screens of your application, and also after if you are switching between different applications, or if you minimize your application and maximize it, then also on resume will be called. Okay, so like that we have different lifecycle methods. If you want to delete any resources, or if you want to free up any resources before closing this activity, we have a function called on stop. Okay, on stop will be executed first and then on destroy will be executed once we remove the activity completely from the activity stack. Okay, so like this we have different lifecycle methods, and you need to understand these lifecycle methods before you're gonna start building any Android application. Okay, these are the core of your Android concepts. Okay, so this is how it is gonna run an activity. So activity created, activity start, activity resume, and it will switch to the running state. If activity is passed, and it which is nothing but if you are moving from one activity to another activity, the previous activity will move to the on pass, and once you visit back to that activity, it will call on resume and it will switch to the activity running state. Okay, so if you are completely destroying the activity, if it is no longer visible to the user, then it will call on stop, and if you are completely removing that activity from the activity stop, it will call the on destroy, and activity is gonna shut down. Okay, so if you look into this diagram, it is like a very clear diagram how your lifecycle methods will be executed. Okay, so here I'm just gonna add toast messages everywhere just to illustrate how these are going to run. Okay, so here I'm saying inside on create I'm adding on create as a toast message. So once on create is called, after that on start is going to call. Okay, sorry. After the on start, it is going to call on resume. Okay, so if you are moving between one screen, one activity to another screen, it is going to call on pause. Okay, and if activity is no longer available, we are gonna it is gonna call lifecycle method called on stop. If you are completely destroying the activity, then it will call on destroy. Okay, so these are the lifecycle methods we have inside our Android activity class. Okay, so I'm just restarting the application.
రోజు అసలు దాని మీద ఉంటున్నాడు, మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు ఏంది పంచాయతీ ఏంది? కనీసం మనిషి చెప్పింది అర్థం
completely deleting this, sorry, I'm completely closing this application.
ఏం మాట్లాడకుండా వదిలేస్తా ఉండి ఇంకెక్కువ చేస్తా ఉండు.
Right,
నీకు ఉండు నీకు ఇప్పుడు మనుషులు మాట్లాడింది అర్థం కావట్లా నీకు మళ్ళీ. ఆ బుక్ ఎందుకు చదువుతాడో తెలియదు, బై హార్ట్ చేయడం, అప్పు చెప్పడం అంతే. ఇంతవరకు ఎన్ని నోట్స్లు రాశారో నేను చెప్పినట్టు సమ్మరీ రాసి ఇట్రా తీసుకురా, రఫ్ నోట్లు తీసుకురా, ఏ సబ్జెక్ట్ అయినా తీసుకురా.
okay, so I am opening the Hello World application.
ఇంత బుక్స్ తీసుకురా అని చెప్పాను.
First time the activity is going to launch, so it will call on create function first, and then on start, and then on resume. Okay, so if you minimize your application, it will call on pause, on stop, because the activity is no longer visible to the user. And if I'm again switching back to the activity, it will call on start and then on rest. It is no longer called on create. On create will be called only once during the entire life cycle of activity. Okay, this is how your life cycle methods will work, and based upon your resources usage and resources availability, you have to manage all those resources by using these life cycle methods. Okay, suppose if you open a database connection, okay, you have to close the database connection before you are moving from your application to another application, or before you are moving from this activity another activity. Okay, otherwise there will be a blocker that will entirely crash the database. Okay, so like this we're gonna deal with resources in our lifecycle methods. Okay, if you want to load anything from the internet, usually we use onStart method. Okay, so it will always fetch latest data from the server and it will display it on your screen. Okay, tomorrow probably we'll work with like how to make a call to the API and how to get data and how to display it on the screen. We will take care of in tomorrow's session. Okay, I think for today I'm gonna end up the session with these concepts, and if you guys have any queries you can ask.
Mr. Ravi?
Yes. Hello.
One of the participants asking this from Unix Engineering College, Sandesh.
Okay.
The question is that what is the latest version of the Android?
So current version is Q, and which is Android 10, and the upcoming version is R, which is going to be released in September, in the month of September. So Android every year is gonna release a new version with the alphabetical order. So Android started with the very first version start with A, Android, and then they started with different names. All the sweet names they picked up, like Lollipop, Jelly Bean is 4.1, Honeycomb is 3.0. Okay, 6.0 Mushroom, so Marshmallow. So all this, like they use sweet names to name their operating system versions. The current version is Android 10, and upcoming version is going to be Android 11, which is going to be released in the September.
And one more question is that is from Rail Ravikumar. What is the app talks to Android OS?
Sorry.
What is the app talks to Android OS? Or how?
Android, I didn't understand the question.
How Android apps talks to OS?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to directly talk to the operating system. So that is for the security purpose. Android always restrict apps to talk with other apps as well as the operating system, but they enables like a couple of resources. You can talk something like content providers like database, SQLite database, or shared preferences like that. There are very few resources from the operating system you can access. For everything, there is a class available in the Java. Make use of the class. Okay. Suppose if you want to interact with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, there is a class called Wi-Fi network. Okay. By using network class, you can check whether you connected to network or whether you connected to mobile data. Like this, you can get to know. but directly with the operating system, it is prevented. You need a root access, which is admin access. For that, you need to root your device. That is not a recommended way. If you really know how to build your operating system and how to deal with your operating system files, then only you can able to root your application. Okay.
Sir, one of the participants is asking, Swarnalata, she is from Lankapalli Bullaya College of Engineering for Women. Sir, will you once again explain how to change the theme of app?
Okay, sure. So if you want to change theme of your application, okay, so inside your project directory, you need to look into the folder called resource, RES. So inside the resource directory, there is a values subdirectory. Inside the values, there is a directory called color. Sorry, there is a file called colors.xml. Okay, so here you need to specify 3 colors at least. One is the primary color and darkness of the primary color, and the secondary color, which is essence color. Okay, so these 3 colors you have to specify inside the colors.xml. Okay, you can use any colors, there is no restriction, but the standards set by the Android and Google is the material design colors. Those you can Google it for the material palette. You will get into this website and you can choose any 2 colors. One is primary color and another one is secondary color. Okay, once you select this color, just click on the dark primary color here. Okay, it will copy the code and then come here and replace the code. Okay, and then click on the primary color and replace the primary color, and click on the accent color. Okay, and change the accent color here. Now, once done with changing your entire colors, you can just restart your activity. That will automatically apply the new theme to your application. Okay, so I just changed these colors and I'm gonna run this application. Right. So applying the changes. Okay, now the blue color, now we change it to the orange color. Is it clear? Hello?
Hello. Okay, sir.
Sir,
Suresh, sir,
one
continue.
more participant. One more participant is there, Chinta Ramya. She is asking, what is the difference between explicit and implicit intents?
So intent is nothing but the activity you want to call it from your application. Okay, so implicit intent means if you are calling the activity exists inside your application, that is implicit activity. As I told for the previous question, you can also access couple of applications, because if you are looking into any of the content in your application, you want to post that content in Facebook or Instagram or maybe any other social media applications which is not part of your application. Okay, those intents are explicit intents.
Okay, sir. One more participant is there, Sai Pawan Shekhar. Sir, how many different softwares are there to build Android apps? Like we are using Android Studio in this session.
You can choose any IDE to build your application, but in the end, that IDE should sync up with the Android extension. Okay, so Android SDK comes with Android, all these emulators, and we have seen the drag and drop elements and all, right? So all the core components comes from the SDK. You can choose Android Studio, you can choose Eclipse, or even you can choose your own IDE, and you can configure that IDE with the SDK. Okay, Android Studio is one IDE, Eclipse is another IDE. These are the two IDEs majorly used by any developer.
Okay, sir. So one more participant is there, Rayal Ravikumar. This is last question. What is the principle of working of Android emulator?
Principle, if you don't have hardware device, we can test it on the Android emulator. Okay, so but if you have really original device, better you can test with your original device, because if you are running an Android emulator, that takes a lot of RAM and lot of space in your PC, so it will slow down the entire laptop. Okay, so instead of that, if you really have your own device, it's always recommended to connect your device through USB, and you can test your application on the USB.
Okay, sister. Thank you all for participating in the session, and thanks, Mr. Shishita, for your valuable information. Hope all the students got some knowledge on this webinar. We will keep in touch for the next session. We will conducting on tomorrow once again. Thanks for all for joining, and hope all participants will show some enthusiasm